and welcome to Your Coaching Journey, a podcast for doctors about coaching. Whether you're a coaching doctor, a doctor who is learning to coach, or a doctor who'd like to build coaching into your professional life, then this is the podcast for you.
Hi, I'm Helen Leathers, and with me today is my co-host and business partner, Tom Dillon. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Helen. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. I'm well. I'm very relieved that the flu that I had last week is no longer with me, and I'm no longer coughing and spluttering and sneezing. Could have been a very long podcast recording had I still been suffering, but I'm on good form today.
Excellent. Good. And I'm hoping my voice will hold out.
Yeah. Well, you've had this thing that you've had, which started as flu and has just lingered for about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Getting on for 4.
Yeah.
So it's time for it to go. Yeah.
It is.
Time it went.
Yeah.
Good. What are we talking about today, Helen?
Today, we're going to be talking about a strengths approach to coaching.
Okay. Good. I like a strengths approach. Well, I think coaching is strengths-based anyway, isn't it? Well,
Yeah.
For the most part, it is. And it's obviously very much part of the solution-focused approach to coaching, which we discussed in episode 8.
All that time ago. Yes. And it also comes into positive psychology coaching as well, which we talked about in episode 25. So I just thought we could spend a bit of time exploring this approach and explaining what it is and also when it might be useful and how it could be practically applied in the coaching room.
Excellent. Sounds like a great idea. Where should we start?
Well, I found a quote from a leading positive psychology and strengths researcher, Professor Alex Linley, and I quite liked it. So I thought we could start with that. He says a strength is a pre-existing capacity for a particular way of behaving, thinking or feeling that is authentic and energising to the user and enables optimal functioning, development and performance. And I like this because he's saying it's not just about performance or achieving goals, and that's a bit us, isn't it?
Yes, we're not totally focused on performance and goals.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would describe us as performance coaches.
No,
or goals-driven coaches.
No.
But obviously those things have their part to play. If someone comes wanting to improve their performance or to achieve a goal, we're not going to turn them away.
Yeah. I worked with plenty of people towards achieving goals, but it's more than that, isn't it? And in this quote, he mentions that idea of being authentic and the strengths being energising to the individual, which I really, really like. So we've all got strengths, but how good are we at acknowledging them? About, how good are we at being proud and putting our strengths out there, celebrating them and putting our non-strengths to one side?
And non-strengths.
Yeah, I don't like weaknesses. I thought non-strengths was quite good.
Good. I don't think we're very good at all, are we? I think we can quite happily, whenever I do workshops with teams around their strengths, they really struggle to write down their top 5 strengths. Happy to share their weaknesses, but not so good at the strength stuff. Yeah,
and focusing on those problems and the things we can't do very well, that could lead to self-limiting beliefs, which come up a lot in coaching, don't they?
Yeah, self-doubt. If you keep telling yourself you're rubbish at everything, then you're not going to have a lot of self-efficacy, are you?
Not really. No, but like the belief, I can't swim, which we've talked about before on the podcast.
Yeah, and I've never had the belief that I can't swim. I just that I don't particularly like swimming and I'm not particularly good at it. But in the last few months, because I've had to lay off running and playing tennis, swimming has become my friend.
Yes.
It's been my go-to place for exercise. Actually, having said that, I haven't swum for a couple of weeks because I'm feeling better. My foot is better. So I'm not back running or playing tennis, but I've stopped swimming.
Makes no sense.
No, it makes no sense at all. Do you know what it is? It's the smell of the chlorine.
Yeah.
It stays with me.
It does.
Yeah, so if I go swimming at lunchtime and then go dancing in the evening, as I start to perspire, the smell of, people must say, why does that man smell of bleach? That's what puts me off.
Well, one day I think I asked you why you smelled of bleach. I knew you'd been.
Yeah. Anyway, we digress.
We do.
Let's get back to strengths.
Yes. So there's a lot of positive psychology research that shows us that focusing on strengths increases our sense of well-being, boosts performance, increases our confidence, and is generally more energising than focusing on weaknesses. And it's actually said that if you have an active awareness of your personal strengths, you're 9 times more likely to be flourishing.
9 times?
Apparently.
Wow.
Yeah. I can't remember where I read that.
Oh.
But
so there's a huge benefit to working with strengths.
Absolutely. And as a coach, it changes the conversation from how can you get better at something that might not excite or energize you and that perhaps you won't ever make huge progress with, to what are you good at already that energizes and excites you, and how can you do more of that? How can you use what you're good at to move towards that desired outcome that you have?
Yeah, so it's just a better conversation, isn't it? If someone is stuck, then we can focus on their strengths to help them think about the options they have available to them, work on their confidence, their self-limiting beliefs, and their self-efficacy.
Yeah.
Help them move forward.
Help them find their own way.
Yeah.
And in the bigger picture, if someone's feeling less than fulfilled, like in their work life or in life in general, perhaps they're not feeling as positive as they could about themselves, we can focus on strengths.
Yeah. So let's get into it in a little bit more detail. You've given us a definition of strengths earlier, but what are we talking about when we talk about strengths?
Well, that's a really good question because there's lots of different types of strengths. And some of our listeners might think of a certain type of strength straight away. And they might be thinking of a strength that they already have. But there's different categories of strengths. So we've got skills, which is always something that I think of straight away. Skills.
Yeah, I think most people would, wouldn't they?
Yeah. But interests and talents as well. And also something called character strengths.
Which is positive psychology based.
Yes. And then also, it's a bit different, but there's resources which are classed as a strength, which we'll come on to.
Okay.
So the skills are those, I think everyone can get what this is, but specific proficiencies that are developed over time with practice and progression, such as, I don't know, learning to play tennis, for example, learning to coach.
Yeah.
Perhaps learning a foreign language.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? Because I've always had, as a child, I would pick up a tennis racket and play in the street, but never had any formal tennis training, but always felt that I could play tennis. I was not, I wasn't very good, but I felt that I could. So that would be something that I would see as potentially an interest.
Yeah.
And a little bit of skill, but not a lot. And it's only when I started playing and having lessons and trying to get better in earnest that I realised that I was not very good at all. But had seen it as, racket skills. I'd played a bit of squash as well. So I guess I'd got some sense of self-efficacy and that I could get better, I could improve. So yeah, I recognise that with skills. And dancing's the same. I'd always danced as a teenager. So I had that sense that I could do it and could get better at it.
And you said that it stems from an interest, and that's the other area we look at, those areas, those topics that a person's passionate about. Playing football, for example, picking up a racket and swinging it around.
Whereas rugby football, I had to play that at school, and I was good at it, so I was always picked for the team, but never really wanted to play. I wasn't enthused by playing and was quite relieved not to have to play once I'd left school. Whereas other people, obviously, if they had interest in it, they'd go to university, find a team at university, but I was just very relieved not to ever have to play it again. Much to the disappointment of my dad, who was a county rugby player. Had high hopes, I think. I just wanted to dance.
That's really interesting, isn't it? Because the next category I'm going to come on to is talents. And what we've seen there is you can have a talent, but not have an interest, and therefore you don't develop the skill.
Yes.
And there'll be lots of people who perhaps have learned something because they're good at it, but it doesn't energize or enthuse them. Yeah. So it's not really a strength. So just to come on to that, the talents that we have that are innate and just kind of flow from us naturally. And you've mentioned there, you've always loved dancing.
Yeah.
That you had a talent for rugby, but...
Well, I think I had attributes that were useful. So at the age of 12, I was quite twice the size of everyone else. They all caught up with me eventually, but I was quite big at the age of 12. So that was useful. And I was fast. So I was the fastest in my year all the way through school. So that was useful in rugby. But I just didn't want to play. So,
so I remember Sam, who I went to school with, and I went to school with her from 5 to 18. And she just had this wonderful aptitude for maths. She was amazing at maths. And she was also really good at athletics. So she could just seemingly effortlessly run. They both came really naturally to her. And art as well. I mean, really, she
sounds awful.
she was lovely. But all the things that I couldn't do. And so I thought, they're amazing things. I was in the drama studio and she was on the athletics field.
Yeah.
But I always sort of looked at her ability and thought, you do that, don't you? You measure your own.
Yeah, and I guess I had the same with art. So my friend Steve that I was at school with was just one of those people that would sit and draw, and he'd draw a caricature of me, rather mean, but he could just do it, and it was just there. And he went on to have a career in advertising, was a creative director of his own agency. So there was someone who'd taken a talent and turned it into a strength, and just that became his life. And how glorious is that, to actually spend your life doing something that you love doing, but also that you're really good at.
Yeah. I think Sam went into accountancy and figures, as far as I remember. So you mentioned there that you were good at rugby, but it came from your natural ability to run fast.
Yes.
That's what was one element. And then we have, if we move on to character strengths, these are the ones I find a bit trickier to get my head around because they seem to have a lot of crossover with values, but we'll explore them. So these, as you say, come from positive psychology, and they're positive personality traits that contribute to fulfillment and benefit for others, and for yourself, and for the greater good as well. So they relate to who you are, your identity, but also what you do in the world. So perhaps being a patient person, having creativity, being hopeful.
Yeah, and I think you're right that there is a crossover, and we really ought to do a podcast on that specifically, because it does take a little bit getting your head around. So I think Martin Seligman and Chris Peterson started with the idea of virtues, and what would be good character strengths? What would they be? What does people recognize? So looking at religions throughout history, what do people recognize as being virtues? So that in another phrase they use is values in action. So there's definitely a crossover with sort of worthy endeavors, I guess, but still useful to think about.
Yeah. And then finally, the slightly different one is resources. And it's a different one because it's more of an external strength that supports us. So family support, good friendships, a safe community, a network around you, having a mentor or a coach, something like that.
Yeah, so really important to have both internal resources, so being able to find your own way, but also be able to call on others. And so it's a lovely phrase that Ted Robbins, what's his name? Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins. I was thinking of his TED talk. That's why TED came.
Oh, I see.
Tony Robbins, who, a bit Marmite, you either love or hate him. I don't really like him, but he has some good things to say. But anyway, he talks about when people talk of a lack of resources, what they're really talking about is a lack of resourcefulness, that actually there are things out there that could help. And sometimes people sit with whatever the problem is and go, I can't do anything about this. But they haven't actually explored what support might be available to them. So I think there is something about resources. And I guess resourcefulness is a strength, isn't it?
Yes.
Being able to look for the resources that you need, call upon other people, call upon support mechanisms that could help.
Absolutely. And I know that, the people I have around me, certainly in the last year and a half, have just been amazing for me. And I, don't know that I could have got through the last year and a half without my people and my network. And so I do consider it, although it's external to me, it is a strength of mine to have those connections and to have those people around me, and to also to be able to ask for the help. I think that's quite a big one as well, is to actually ask for help.
Yeah, and I guess within coaching, quite often we're focused on the internal resources of the coachee and what they could be doing. That idea that all coachees have the resources within themselves, that they can come up with their own answers, which is true, but the answer may be to look outside of themselves and find resources elsewhere that can support them.
Yeah. Who else could you get support from? What do you need to know and how can you find that out? who can you go to?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So within the coaching room, what can we practically do in a coaching session to have a strengths-based approach?
Well, you mentioned earlier values in action, and that's a profiling sort of report that you can get online around character strengths. There are lots of other surveys out there that people can take. That is one of them that comes from quite a well sort of grounded bed of research in positive psychology. And that's, it's called the VIA character strengths, or values in action character.
I was called VIA. I don't know why.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I suppose it spells the word via.
Yeah.
And I've always said via, and I don't know why that is.
I don't know what's right. But we can put a link in the show notes to that.
Yes.
The good thing about that is it's free. Most other strength surveys that you will come across are paid for. So if you are working with a client, you go, oh, let's do a strength survey. And lots of organisational coaching, that might be part of what they're doing anyway. They might have been on a leadership program where they've been asked to do a strength survey. So they might come with that anyway. But they all have a cost. And it's somewhere between £30, £50 for a report, which you may not need really. I know, but I said the VIA character strengths because it's free. They can do that before they come to the coaching, perhaps. It gives them start to think about their strengths before they arrive.
Yeah. So you mentioned Peterson and Seligman earlier, and how they set out to identify these strengths, these valuable sort of ways of being. I suppose they're valuable to society, valuable to other people. So they look to identify, organise and measure aspects of character, which they defined as traits that are kind of constant and stable over time, but could be impacted by the environment and what's going on. So therefore kind of could change, really.
Yeah, I find mine are quite stable. So I've been doing this since 2019, and I've done it a few times since then. And on the whole, they'll shift one or two places.
Yeah.
So the idea is that you rank 24 different character strengths in your order. I mean, pop through a psychometric, but they end up being ranked, and of what's most important to you and what isn't. So not necessarily that your strongest character strength, but just it's high up there in your ranking.
Yeah, it's almost more in your awareness, I think.
Yeah, so I found a big difference between hope. So hope is one of those character strengths, which is obviously taking an optimistic view and feeling you have some agency. And 2020, hope was quite high on my ranking. Moved from 2019 to 2020. It moved about 10 places, which was interesting. But on the whole, they do remain fairly stable.
Maybe that was a time. Oh, let me think. 2020. Why might we have needed?
Yeah, we'll talk about that on another podcast. But I think there was stuff going on which gave some context to why that shifted.
Yeah.
So they can shift, but on the whole, they should be fairly stable.
So you've mentioned other strengths questionnaires, and they often focus on more practical strengths, such as planning or strategy, maybe critical thinking, being competitive. And also they tend to be commissioned by organisations, as you say, to help employees with their roles. Yeah,
so it is very much serving the organisation rather than the world or even the individual. But it's, what are you good at? What can we use? How can you help us make more money?
So the VIA character strengths, or the VIA character strengths, is different because it's more about who someone is rather than what they might be good at.
Yes.
So, but there'll always be some overlap, I think, in that.
Yeah. I think it can lead to interesting conversations.
Yeah.
So I had someone that was I'd done the report and came to it, and she was saying, I'm disappointed because bravery is 12th. It's ranked 12th. I mean, she'd ranked them. It's not. She said, I've been working on bravery. She said, kindness is top. And I agree with that. I am kind. I'm a kind person. She said, but bravery, I've really been working on trying to be braver in the last few years. And I'm disappointed that's still 12. But the reality was that she was working on being brave. She didn't see herself as brave. She felt it was something she had to work on. So obviously
it's going to be lower.
It's going to be lower. So because it's not how she sees herself. It's an aspiration rather than where she is. So I say it can lead to some really interesting conversations. And whilst it might not fulfill the brief of, okay, this is what I do well, in terms of the workplace, it tells us something.
Yeah.
It's a can opener to get someone talking about themselves and to,
As so many of these things are.
and to think about them as well. Yeah.
Yeah, to bring it into that consciousness, enlighten people, perhaps give them a confidence boost.
Yeah. Just start to have a conversation about them.
Yes.
Rather than what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
Because a lot of coachees will come with a problem situation and talk about that without really talking about who they are and how they show up. So I think it's great in that respect.
Well, there's another tool that I wanted to talk to you about.
Oh, go on then.
Because you've created a brilliant resource
Ta-da!
for strength coaching.
I have. It's a masterpiece. A work of creative genius.
It is, absolutely. And they are your This Is Me strengths and values cards.
Sounds like a cue for a song.
It does, doesn't it?
I couldn't sing that song.
So tell us about your cards.
My cards have 60 strengths on them. Strengths on one side, values on the other. Such a bargain.
2 in
Price of one, yeah. So 60 strengths. I know, again, Peterson, Seligman, they kind of found 24 strengths. So I actually did a bit of research around the different strengths tools that were out there and looked at what came up consistently across them all and kind of just pulled out what I thought were the most useful 60. I'm not sure I got it all right. And obviously for someone going through them, they go, well, hang on a minute, you've got kindness, not compassion. I'm compassionate, not kind. But again, it starts the conversation, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. So I think what it allows someone to do, because there's pictures and words on each card. So you have the word kindness and a picture of I can't remember what kindness was. Probably a dog. So there's a picture of something. And so you go through and you pick out the ones that you think best represent your strengths. And what's really interesting, and certainly when I do it, I picked them up the other day and was thumbing through them. And out of the 60, I kind of identified 30 strengths. And that's encouraging. And they're obviously not my top strengths, but I think, I can do that. I'm good at that. Yeah. So I think that's generally how it goes, that people will find more strengths as they go through, but they will identify strengths that they're not even thought of. So that can be really useful, just again as that building their confidence, giving them a bit of self-efficacy. Definitely, and it's a little bit more playful than just saying, well, what are your strengths? Yeah. People sitting there struggling. So here's a set of cards. Just sort through them and tell me what identify your strengths, pick them out, put them in one pile. Put the ones that are definitely not your strengths in another pile. Maybe have a middling pile. They could be, potentially. So, bit of fun. Just a bit of fun.
But great if you're working face-to-face with clients.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll put a link to that in the show notes, and there's a page with some exercises on as well, strengths exercises. So we'll share that.
Thank you for the plug.
You'll have to get some more printed now.
Yeah. They have nearly sold out.
I know. Amazing.
Gosh.
So you mentioned the ones in the middle, and I think they could link into sort of what I alluded to earlier about those learned strengths, those things that we have a natural aptitude for, but perhaps don't excite us, don't energize us. But there are always things that, we might get the job of doing that because we're good at them, but we might not enjoy it. It might be a learned strengths. And, perhaps we need to do less of that if it doesn't fill us with joy and energize us.
I think I've got good at a spreadsheet, but I don't want to be spending my time on a spreadsheet.
No.
But if, given a spreadsheet and asked I can't do pivot tables, but in the days before pivot tables, I was quite good at a spreadsheet. But like I said, I really had no interest in spending my time doing that. I'd much rather someone else did that. Yeah.
That's why I do the spreadsheets, isn't it? Yeah. So we want to, I think, do our strengths more, but find the things that are our learned strengths that don't excite us and energize us. We probably want to do those less. And then things that we're really not so good at, we certainly don't want to be doing those as much either, do we?
No.
Try and delegate those as much as possible. And of course, we can ask questions of our coachees to find out those things that they are doing in their lives that perhaps don't energise them.
We could do some coaching.
Just simple coaching.
Yes.
Yeah.
How might we do that, Helen?
So questions like, what are the things that you do best? It's a very simple question.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know when you're at your best? It's a nice question.
Yeah.
What might you be doing?
I guess a different way of asking that is, when you are at your best, you are, fill in the blanks. Yeah.
Yeah. What are the key strengths and resources you can draw upon to find a solution to this situation? That sounds very wordy, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It's not concise, crisp, concise.
What are your key strengths here? That would work too. And I think looking at other scenarios, so if someone's stuck in this scenario, asking about previous scenarios, tell me about a time when you were successful. Tell me about a time when you used your strengths to move through a problem. What could you take from that experience in the past?
Yeah, maybe what strengths were you using when you were successful?
Yeah. So really tapping into your person's strengths, as I say, even if they're in the past when they've dealt with a difficult scenario, just makes someone feel more resourced that, oh yeah, I've handled stuff in the past that was hard. I can do it again. I can take from that and have more confidence about their ability to handle that situation and to move through it.
Going back to that idea of self-efficacy, aren't we?
Yeah.
If you have self-efficacy in one area, then potentially it can come through in other areas. And just going back to that idea of external resources as strengths, asking questions of your coachee about what other resources, support they have available can be really helpful. So who do you know who's good at this that could support you?
Yep.
Who do you know that's been successful with this in the past? Just a simple, where could you get more information about this?
Yeah, because sometimes there is that knowledge gap. Like you said, there's the knowledge gap and you need to work out how to fill it. Not all the resources, external resources, are going to be within you. So I just want to add something here, because I think we're coming to the end of our discussion, but I just want to add this. This is about strengths. But I do know that some people can be a bit disheartened when something is perceived as a weakness. A bit like your client who said, oh, I've been working on that. Why is it still so low down? So I just wanted to share this because it's from some positive psychology research. While using strengths more and differently is known to boost well-being or a sense of well-being, having an awareness of our non-strengths, unstrengths, weaknesses, whatever you want to call them, but finding a different way to use them, a novel way, has also been shown to have a positive impact on well-being. So if you think, oh, I'm not so great at this, but I kind of want to be, if that's jarring for someone, disappointing for someone, if you can coach them around taking that weakness and using it in a different way, exploring it, and finding a way to express it perhaps, then they can feel good about themselves.
Yeah. Excellent.
So, we don't need to move all the weaknesses to one side and ignore them, because some people will be disappointed in that and they'll want to work on them.
Yeah. And in some situations, you don't have a choice about whether you work on them or not.
No.
We talk about, play to your strengths and try to eliminate the weaknesses. But in some roles, there are things that you have to do.
Yeah.
Like creating a podcast, we have to do a bit of research and a bit of writing in a script, bit of preparation, which neither of us particularly want to do. We just want to turn up and have a chat. So, yeah.
So perhaps reframing that thing that they're not so good at into something that feels more positive.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Good. Thank you, Helen. Enjoyed that conversation.
Thank you. It's been fun.
I shall go away and think about my strengths some more.
Good.
And we will see you next time. What do we do next time, Helen?
Next time on the podcast, we're going to be talking about the ABCDE model.
Okay, lovely.
Which is from cognitive behavioural coaching.
It is indeed. Shall look forward to that. So we'll say bye for now.
Bye for now.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.